the response time. You see, you don't get to argue with flowers or plants. You don't get to say, you know, plant, I'm going on vacation for a month. Now, I know it's July and it's very hot, and you'd like water every day. But I'll tell you what, I'm busy now. I've got to go and do this vacation. But when I come back, I will give you 30 gallons of water, much more than I could give you if I was doing this every day. Is it a deal? It's not relevant. It's physics. Physics has its own cycle. Personas have their own cycle. Feelings have their own cycle. And it doesn't matter how good the abstract price is or the bargain. It doesn't matter. Certain things need attention within a time frame. And in Western medicine, this is one of the things that they're relatively good at. We can sew a thumb or a finger back on, but not next month. Not next month. You know, there's a window. And beyond that window, we've never done it before. And so if they want to help you, time is of the essence. And time was not of the essence as the facilitators went into their consensus closed-door meetings and excluded me to decide what to do. And so I died. And the grief of freezing to death in the shock of the rebound from that transcendent state coming down was and is the single biggest pain that I have faced in my lifetime. And this is a cult that doesn't like pain. This is a cult where when you talk about that kind of pain, a vast majority of people will do just about anything but tell you how tragically sorry they are and honor their own pain and yours. Honor the culture's disease and respond by shifting schedule to bring empathy to that level of pain. And in doing so, water the transcendent state, liquefy and disperse the transcendent state that is the only state capable of bringing in a transcendent reality. Einstein says that the same level of consciousness that creates a problem can't solve it, meaning the same culture that creates trauma and abuse in so many of its people is incapable of solving trauma. Because the culture that would be capable of solving trauma wouldn't create it in the first place, because it is 100 times more expensive to create trauma and then fix it than to avoid it. Meaning if you are competent in any area around trauma, you will do just about anything to avoid trauma, because it's going to take 100 times more energy to fix it than it does to avoid it. And so you are, by definition, an idiot if you don't intervene to preclude an easily preventable trauma. And when I communicated to the high facilitators, after they failed to respond to the first thing other than saying this wasn't a high issue, when I communicated that I was 500% in more pain than I had ever felt in my entire life, and I urged them to make this a high issue, when not a single one of them responded, what they are communicating to the circle is we have no trauma literacy. We are setting ourselves up to pay 100 times higher price than if we respond and make preventing PTSD as a chronic traumatic state our number one priority, because we've got 100 to 1 leverage in that domain. and we're in trauma, we haven't yet reached PTSD, but when that recording went unanswered and the games started thickening, letting me know that I'm in the biggest pain that I've ever felt in a sociopathic environment in which empathizing for me is the third or second priority, and survival and politics and image and all that is the first priority for the caregiver. Then the trauma deepens. The pain, the separation from and longing for, the anger, and the trauma deepen, and I find myself frozen in time, unable to tend the garden that is going cold around me, as my hands go numb and I can't move them anymore, and I'm stuck here. This is the birth of hatred. This is the birth of the part that says, I'm helpless, I'm hurt, you're betraying me, and you are going to feel my pain until you wake up, until you wake up, until you understand that hurting me to protect against shame in a professional role at the verge between trauma and PTSD, post-psychedelic abuse, that this is going to hurt everyone until we learn and wake up. That this pattern of behavior doesn't work. That it costs 100 times more than this pattern of behavior. And the scarcity that you have over here is created by that degree of waste. And the abundance that you justify your behavior by wanting. You see, you justify your scarce behavior by your scarce environment. The abundance that you want is there when you learn to not take the approach that takes 100 times more energy. Are you up for that learning? Because I'm not up for one person after another to be raped to protect the incompetence of a group of people who don't have the competence to grasp that what they're doing isn't competent. It's harmful. We need to wake up as individuals, as team members, as boards of directors, but most importantly as facilitators, because the externalization of this inefficiency is a reflection of the internalization of this inefficiency, which is the central issue of every soul and ego on the planet. What is my algorithm and how is it doing at navigating the world? And if I've got an algorithm that inside and out is passing up opportunities to do things 100 times easier and jeopardizing my life at the very time I claim to be protecting it, I want to know about that, because then we can step into a greater world of abundance.